Hi guys, it's Emily from Novelle Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my October wrap-up part 1. Now, I've done a bit better than I expected so far. I've already read 17 books this month, although that does include Crime and Punishment, which I've been reading over 2 months. But I'm sorry guys, those of you that have been doing the read along, I skipped ahead. I carried on reading because I just wanted it done. I've rated it 3 stars, but it's one of those books that I think, in all honesty, it might go down to like 2 because I really struggled with it. Didn't understand it very much. There were some bits that were really good, but yeah, it's a bit of my flooby-ish book, so that's a straight away telling you that. But yeah, so I'm not doing too badly. I've had my hair cut, as you can well see. Had a bit of a pamper this month so far. I'm going to do my nails again because I'm hoping I'll be back at work in November. Please guys, all fingers and prayers for me, because I'm one of those strange people who actually does want to go back. I really want to go back and be with my colleagues. So I don't know how next month's going to go, and so I'm just going to sort of do a bit of self-care. I'm listening to my audiobooks. I'm having my hair cut. I'm trying to get myself through all this. And guys, I hope you're all doing all right. So I know things are not going very great at the moment again, and it's getting worse again, and everyone's feeling a bit crappy. But let's not go on about it. Let's focus on the happy stuff. But just want you all to know that I'm here if anyone needs anyone. I'm always here just to give support, and I hope you all, and thank you all for all the support that I've had myself. You're all absolutely blooming amazing. So, shall I show you what I'm reading at the moment? Let's go on, no more about that rubbish. Reading Barchester Towers, which is the second in the Barchester Chronicles series. I am loving it. I am already halfway through. So I want this done by the end of the weekend, so I can start Adam Bede next week, because that's another one of my chunky books that I want to get read. But this one, I'm really enjoying it. I love The Warden, and this is just as good. Could potentially be another 4 or 5 stars because I'm really loving it. Really, really am. The other book that I'm reading, which is a group read along for October, and it's Shirley. Oh, I'm over halfway through. I'm again going at my own pace on this because I want it gone. I do not like it. Sorry guys, it's not one that I'm struggling with. I'm pushing myself through, and I think I've got it's 348, and in my copy, so I've got about 140 pages to read of it, and then I'm done, and I want it gone. I'm not enjoying it. This is really why I'm struggling, because to me, like, I love Jane Eyre, which I'll talk about soon. Loved it thoroughly, one of my favourite books ever. Found Villette, didn't like at all. The Professor was all right. And then there's another one I'm trying to think, and I've loved some of her work, but that, to me, Jane Eyre's the only one that's standing out and jumping out at me that I really loved. All the others just like meh. So I'm a bit gutted on that. I really wanted to love this, but I do like it, and I'm going to keep it because the lovely Gaia gave it to me, so sent it to me as a gift. So I do like it, and I'm going to reread it, but it's not as good as the Jane Eyre by no means. Then tonight I start my read along for a book with the Love Book Tours. Love and Little White Lies. I'll start that when I finish this video, and when I put my books away, I'm starting that. So that's good. I've got an audio book that I'm listening to, which is Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella. It's a bit of a meh book. It's probably not one of her best ones in my opinion, so I'm glad I've only got it on audio. It's all right. One's good to read at the moment, but it's good. And then on my ebook from my library, I'm reading The Miseducation of Evie Epworth by Matson Taylor. It was a book that was recommended to me by the lovely Charlie from Charlie's Heathcote. He loves it, and I am blooming loving it. It's northern, it's set in the 60s. Absolutely love it. Totally love it. It's so perfect for me. So that's going to be another top star rating book. And yeah, I'm cracking on with my TBR. I've got 2 more classics to read in the next 2 weeks. And then I've got Carrie, and I think they're the only books that are on my set TBR. So now I'm going to be a bit more. I've got Dracula on my shelves that I might want to read, and a couple of spooky books. So I'm just going to mix it up. The lovely Gemma from Reader Books Gem is going to help me keep an eye on it and keep me on top of what ones I'm going to read next. So let's see how I do, shall we? Anyway, I've been rambling for 4 minutes. Let's get on and tell you how my star ratings of the books. So, I keep playing around my hair. Sorry about this, guys. It's not like me. I've said this is 3 stars. Honestly, don't know. It's either 3 or 2. See, there were some bits of this book, Crime and Punishment. I don't know whether you guys all know. You guys all know about it. It's quite a popular book. Some bits of it that I loved, and other bits were really meh, and I struggled and pushed myself on with it. So I'm not sure 3 or 2 stars. The next one's a definite 3 stars. It is a good book, but it's a very standard Tudory kind of fictiony book. 3. It is good. Sorry guys, my cat decided she wants to come in. This is a book set about Joanna of Navarre. The Duke of Brittany is dead and his widow Joanna of Navarre has inherited control of the land. I found it alright. It was my TBR choice. It was an alright book, but it just, there were certain bits that I found that I sort of struggled with. Certain bits of her story I wanted a bit more from. I kind of felt like I wanted a bit more about her children, bits about that. But it was an alright book, Tudor book, but it's going charity shop because it's not standout, want to reread it. So that's it. But I'm doing really well. I've only had like 2 books that were a bit meh. There is another book in this 4 stars rating that I think may end up going down to a 3. But again, I'm not. I watched a book on Gunpowder and Fiction and Plots channel where Scott was saying sometimes we rate books very as soon as we've read them, and sometimes I think we need to really think about our ratings, because at first I rated this book a 5, and then so all these books that I'm about to show you are now 4 or 5 stars, which is really good. There's one that's not as good as some of the other ones, so that's why I need to possibly re-rate it. First one I'm going to re-rate is 4 stars, which is Cranford. This copy I've got has got Cranford and it's got a few other stories in it. So Cranford, 4 stars all the way. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. And then we had, I'm looking, Cage at Cranford. Didn't really get that. Probably that would be more of a 3. Mr. Harrison's Confessions. Again, it was about 4 stars, I think. And then it turned out there's My Lady Ludlow in it. I've already read My Lady Ludlow, so I stopped there. So it's 4 stars. It's Elizabeth Gaskell. I do love Elizabeth Gaskell's work. She's one of my favourite authors now, especially one of my favourite Victorian authors. But to me, Cranford was not the standout as good as North and South or some of that. But I don't know if that's because I like her longer books. Like I love North and South, and I loved Mary Barton. So it's not one of her best ones, but it was still really good. To me, my favourite of her short stories has got to be Lois the Witch. That's my favourite of her short stories books. I'm going to keep that. Now, the next one I loved, and I've just remembered I've got to link Linda's channel. I was buddy reading Rebecca with Linda from Linda's World of Books. Jess from Read a Book Jess or Read with Jess or something like that. I can't remember her channel. I will link that below. She was doing a read along with this. I read it, flew through it really quickly. Considering I started Rebecca, and I thought, this is so I'm going to DNF this. Didn't want to DNF it because so many people I love this book. But I pushed on. I was like, come on, we can do this. Come on, Linda. And we were pushing ourselves through. And after the first sort of 50 to 60 pages, it got good. And it got really good. Like, the only reason I didn't get a high rating was because it was a slow starter. But boy, them and heck, I ended up really enjoying this. And I am definitely glad I've got some more of Daphne du Maurier's other books, because yes, it's spooky and it's eerie and it's kind of creepy and it's historical fiction, but more like mystery. I think I ended up rating it mystery, giving it the mystery genre, because it was really sort of like got me, and I had me quite scared at points. And this is told from a different narrative. So basically, Rebecca is this lady who marries. This lady marries Rebecca's husband. Rebecca is dead, and we find out how she died, what happened to her. But her ghost kind of lingers in this house, and it's the house of Manderley, and it's like, we've all heard of Manderley, and it's, oh my goodness. The bride, it's just so good. It's just, if you don't know about this, on a trip to South France, the shy heroine of Rebecca falls in love with Maxime de Winter, a wealthy, handsome widower. And I don't like him for half of this. Half of this book, I hate him. And then I get to like him. And he freaks me out. He's really weird. But God, this book got me. That's another one of these ones where it's going on my, do I get rid of it or do I keep it? Because I might, also I love the copy of it. So I think I might end up keeping it. I might keep this one because it really did get me, actually. I think I was going to get rid of it, but I think I'm going to keep it because I think I might reread that. Now that I've read it once, but is going to be rereading that a good idea? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below whether I should keep that, or whether once you've read it once, you've got the twist. It's like the thriller thing. Do I keep it or not? Now, this is another one. It's a Charles Dickens book, Oliver Twist. 4 stars. but it's not my favourite of Charles Dickens' work. It is 4 stars because the storyline's good. There's characters in this that are not in the Oliver Twist film. God, the Oliver Twist film is so old. It's like one of my favourite films, like Dickens films. I love the Dickens films that have been, the Dickens books that have been made into films. Obviously, A Christmas Carol's like legendary. Charlie, you know that. It's bloody brilliant. But there are more characters in this that are in the book. This really explains so much more than the film. But the way they portray Oliver is a bit like, it doesn't portray him quite well. I got a bit lost. There was bits that were lengthened in the middle that didn't necessarily need to be lengthened. And there was, I hate Fagin. Oh, I still love Fagin in this. But I hate Bill Sikes. Bill Sikes is like my least favourite. Everyone knows Oliver Twist. I don't need to talk about it. I will talk about it obviously more in my Victober wrap up. I love Nancy. I love The Artful Dodger. There's characters that you remember from the films that you always loved. The songs from the Oliver musical, God, it just brings back so many memories. But it's nice to find out more about Oliver's backstory. And I think that's something I really love about this book. But there were bits in the middle I thought, did they need to be there, you know? But it was good. I'm glad I read it. I finally got it read. Yay! Finally read. But that's Keepy. No question, that is definitely a Keepy. Now, the next one is one that I buddy read with the lovely Gemma from Read a Book Gem. Oh my God. Gemma, if you've not checked Gemma's channel out, she's one of my favourite people. Oh, I just love her. She came down to see me this month and she is absolutely one of the nicest people you could ever meet. She has got the best taste in books. We heard about this book from Katie from Books and Things. She is one of the many people who have talked about this book. I know Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. She's loved this book. And I really did love it. It is 4 stars because there were bits where I got a bit lost, bits where I had to reread it. This is historical fiction mixed with a bit of fantasy. You've got LGBTQ plus in it, and I love trying to guess who's going to be the one that's the characters that are going to go down that lines. I loved the romance in that. The LGBTQ plus romance that comes out in this is done in such a brilliant way, and it's written gorgeously. It's historical fiction, so it's set in Victorian times. He lived his life like clockwork until he met the Watchmaker. And I love this. There are characters in this that I love. I love Daniel. In 1883, Daniel returns to his tiny flat to find a gold pocket watch on his pillow. When the watch saves Daniel's life from the blast that destroys Scotland Yard, he goes in search for the maker, Kitamori, a kind, lonely Japanese immigrant. Meanwhile, Grace Caro is sneaking into the Oxford Library, desperate to prove the existence of a luminous ether before her mother can force her to marry. There is historical fiction. I love this sort of fantasy kind of time hopping kind of. There's really magical bits in this that are so much fun, and it is such a good book. And it kind of loses me. There's some politics in this as well, which is quite interesting, and it's just really good. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to read. We're going to be reading Bedlam Stacks next, which is an independent book. It's not the sequel to this, but it is. But apparently there are some characters linked in, so we're going to read that next year. And I cannot wait to read The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow, which is this book's sequel. I need to find it. I know I've got it on the library app, so if I can't find it anywhere, I will get that. But this book is so good. I can't wait to read more of Natasha Pulley's work. Love this. Loved buddy reading with Gemma for the first time, but doing our first buddy read. 100%. This is 4 stars, but it's at the top end of 4 stars. It was that good. Maybe I should do what Ben does and rate out of 10, because I think that would be better. But I'm not going to... I don't know. No, I think I'm going to keep that one. Yeah, I'm going to keep that one. You guys know what about my unhauls. The next one was a book that's on my TBR. This is lovely. It is historical fiction. It is by this author... wrote Goodnight Mr. Tom, and oh god, it's set in wartime, but there are some triggers for abuse, for some things that happened in the war to people. Like there's about an asylum, there's a link in it about here and about an asylum, and that was really hard hitting. There are some bits that are very, very hard hitting in this, so be warned for that. To me, there is a trigger for sexual assault. It sounds like it's manipulated. There's some stuff in here that there's a character that manipulates our lead character. Derry took the reins, then to Rose's utter amazement, he puts the reins in one hand and gently links his fingers in hers. Rose could feel every inch of her skin stinging. Then it dawned on her, would it be possible that Rose is trying to tell her that he'd fallen in love with her? Derry was trying to tell her that he'd fallen in love with her. I can't give spoilers, but I hated Derry. I absolutely hated him. I hated him from word go. Love Rose. She's very naive, but she's a really loving character. Her sister Diana is like 21. They've been effectively evacuated to the south, to somewhere in the country. And in some of the World War settings, they've been evacuated. Diana, her older sister, is nearly 21, so she's kind of like looking after her sister, Rose. Rose is a bit of a dreamer, a bit naive, doesn't want to go down the whole being a typical housewife kind of bit. And I love it. There are some extra characters in this that I love. I can't give too much away and tell you characters which ones I love and which ones I hate. There's also a backstory about the lady where they've been evacuated to is a house, and the lady who was running this house has died, and Rose goes and finds her story. Now her story is the one that's got a lot of the triggers warning for it, but I love the way there's a story inside a story, and I thought that was really interesting. Love Michelle McGorry's work. Yes, they're wartime books, but they're hard hitting. She does, like I said, she does tackle things, some real triggers and stuff. It's like with Good Night, Mr. Tom. There are bits where I really were crying in this book, but it's so well written. It's such a beautiful book, and it's one that I'm going to give to Gemma because I think Gemma's going to like it. That's going to go there. That's going on my giveaway because Gemma's going to have that. Now the next one is the third in the Lara Jean in this series, the Jenny Hand to All the Boys I've Loved Before series. Third one in the series, but to me it was probably my least favourite out of the series. It did tie things together all right, but it wasn't as good as the other two. The first two books I really loved in the series, but this didn't. I kind of wanted to shout at Lara Jean so much in this book. Tell her to stand up for herself. I hate Margot, her sister. Oh my God, I get so angry at Margot. Can't give spoilers. It's great, we won't. But Margot, her sister, is coming home for the summer. Margot is away, and Margot is such a bitch. I'm sorry to say it, but she really is at times. I want to slap that girl. And I love Kitty, but I love their younger sister Kitty, and in this, Kitty really comes into her own. She's really stronger, and I love her. I love the characters in this. But yeah, it's not my favourite in the series, but it is still good. 4 stars. Glad I read it. Let's go bye-byes. I still don't know if I'm going to keep this series or not, because I love the first two, but am I going to reread it? I'm really a bit indecisive today. The next book is one that is at the... No, I'm going to change my mind which order I'm going to show. This I rated 4 stars, but this is the one that I cannot decide whether it's 4 or 3. Because it was good, and there is a line at the end of this that I need to go and put in one of my books. I need to write it down to put in one of my quote books, which is, boys don't cry, but men do. And that is very important. And this is going, we've got LGBTQ+ in this. We've got about this faith. Basically, this is a story of a baby that's been left with its father who didn't even know that it existed. And we have the two brothers storylines. We have Adams and I'm going to think Dante. Now, Dante is the father of this baby, and this baby gets left in. Dante has to grow up. He has to change all his life plans. His world gets changed by this baby. But then we also have his brother Adam's story. Now, Adam's story is very hard hitting, and I found there's a lot of triggers. There's some triggers in this about again assault. There's identity issues, and it's really triggering, but it's beautifully written. It is good. It's like, to me, it was 4 stars. Very YA, very, very YA. And if I was a YA in that age range, which was way past that, then I might enjoy it more. It's not Mallory Blackman. It wasn't anywhere near as good as the, obviously, Knots Across this series, but it is good. I do enjoy it. But I think this is definitely more aimed at the YA audience. That's definitely a giving away one. Now, next 4.5 stars all the way. Loved it, loved it, loved it. The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. 4.5. The only reason it is not a 5 star is because it took a bit of a slog to get into it. This is bloody good. If you like thrillers, if you like to be kept on your toes, if you don't like to know this is really good. I love Turn the Key. That was 5 stars. The Woman in Cabin 10 was only 3. This is 4.5 all the way. I've already read it with Nicole, who was in Beautiful Chaos Books. Check her out on Instagram, guys. She's lovely. Oh, this is so good. The text message arrives in the small hours of this morning. I need you. Isa drops everything, takes her baby daughter and heads straight to Salton. She spent the most significant days of her life at the boarding school in the marshes there, days which still cast their shadow over her. Isa and her 3 best friends used to play the Lion Game. competing to convince people of the outrageous stories. Now, after 17 years of hiding the truth, something terrible has been found on the beach. Their friend's darkest secrets is about to come to light. This is scary, but it is so good. It is creepy, it's mysterious, it's about friendships, it's about lying. It's just, oh my god, I love this book. Everyone check it out. It's bloody good. Don't know who to recommend. I mean, I don't keep it because it's a thriller. I don't keep thrillers, but this is definitely one that I loved. So now I think I can go straight into my 5 stars. I've got a bit less 5 stars if I'm being honest. So yeah, I've read a load of good books, but not read many like explosive. I was struggling to think about my favourite one for the month and not include one of my favourite books of all time. So a little bit of... So obviously, you know I love the Mallory Towers. 5 stars all the way. Enid Blyton, last in the series. I remembered so much of this and I found myself remembering it, and I love this series. It's one that I can't wait for me to read. So it's a Keepy. The next one was another Keepy, YA, middle grade classic, Victorian classic, Black Beauty. If you want to read a children's middle grade classic, Victorian classic, set in Victorian times, this is brilliant. It's about a horse, and it's the horse's Black Beauty story, and it's beautiful. It's cozy. There are some really bits where emotional when a Black Beauty gets hurt. There's some loving scenes. There's some scenes of friendship. I love this book. It's Keepy. What's a Girl Gotta Do? The last in the Spinsters trilogy. 5 stars all the way. This is a series I am keeping no matter what. So I think I've made my decision about the other series. But this is Keepy. It's the third girl. So obviously the Spinsters trilogy is set about the 3 different girls. And this is Lottie's story. So we've already read two friend stories in the other 2 books. So this is feminism, this is hard-hitting, this is tackling mental health issues. The girl breaks down. I can't tell you too much about this because obviously it links in with the other 2 books. But if you've liked Am I Normal Yet and How Hard Could Love Be, then you will love this one as well. Although to me, still, Am I Normal Yet is my favourite out of the 3. But this is really good. This is Lottie's story. And Lottie is a feminist and she's shouting out about feminism, and it's really good. Thank you again, Nicole, for getting me on that series. That's Keepy. I think that's made me decide that that's a going series. Then I had a book for a read along. I don't know what to do with these prompt cards. I don't know if I can keep them or not. I think I can get rid of them. But I did this for a read along with Tandem. It's a brilliant book. If you like horrible histories, if you like Wisdom in My Shed, I read this with Tandem. If you like horrible histories, if you like historical fiction, if you like a bit of fantasy, this is the book for you. This teaches children so much. I read it with my children. This teaches the kids so much. It's about this is Meet Wyrd in the Wild. He's from the Dark Ages. He's the greatest warlock of all time. Bow down at him and feel his wrath. Naughty wizard, basically. And then meet Rose. She's from Bashington. She's on a mission to mend her broken family, and she has no intention of bowing down to it before anyone. And then you got Bubbles, their guinea pig, and I love the talking guinea pig. That's just hilarious. There's bits in this that have got hilarity in it, but there are also some hard hitting. It's a bit about bullying and about a girl that's had a rough time and she wants her family to come back together. And Murdering the Wizard is it's seen as bad warlock, and it's about him finding his way, and he wants to go back to his era. And it's lovely and it's fun, and I love this book. I'm lending it to Charlie because it's a Lindy book, but I loved it. Now, my joint 2 favourite books of the month. First of all is Margot and Me by Juno Dawson. I read it on my ebook from my library and absolutely friggin' loved it. It's really good. Again, it's historical fiction. So it's about Margot is this girl's grandmother, and this girl, I can't remember her leading name. But her and her mother go and stay with her grandmother in Wales. And because her mum's had cancer and she's had a really hard time. And so they go in there, stay there. They say it's for 6 months. And this girl has to leave all her friends, leave all her family. And she has to go and stay with a gran that she doesn't really know very well. She thinks is stuck up. She doesn't really get on with. And it's about grief because this girl's already lost her dad when she was younger. And she's had to look after her mother, and she's now got to make friends. And then the historical fiction side of it is that she finds out her grand's story, and she finds her grand's diary, and she obviously shouldn't read it, but there are really triggering bits in this because you obviously find out what happened to her gran.